Wynand, welcome to the call, and thank you very much for joining us. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so it's Wynand Goosen, and I am the CEO of the Infomars RIMS Group, which is a private training provider. We specialize in building incubators, new venture creation training, contact center training, marketing, and project management mostly.
That's really interesting. My background is partly in training as well, and it came about, I suppose, in the early 90s when there was suddenly this mass explosion of growth in the contact center industry and very little training into the positions that we were needing to recruit into. So to become a team leader was, you were promoted into that position because you were a good agent, but then had zero training on how to do the job properly. So it's a great way of developing that career. And how have you seen training develop over that period of time in contact centers in that world?
Well, it's particularly interesting for me to see how it's evolved, because at some stage of the game when we started off, there was another training program that was also quite popular, which was the business advising program on level 3, or business administration rather on level 3. And it also had a great deal of communication aspects, and some of the contact center people actually employed some of these individuals. And at first I thought it was a mistake, and then later on I realized that what has happened is that the contact center environment, once you actually have given a person the basic skills required for entrance, the contact center experience is an extremely good experience and a basis for things to follow. Give an example. An individual that's completed a course in contact center and then worked for a contact center for 2, 3, or 4 years is an ideal candidate to actually work in a shop, in a retail environment, because they've learned to work with people, they're attentive to listening, and they're articulate in terms of the way they speak. But the same person is also a good receptionist, for that matter. At the same time, it's also a very good entrance candidate for somebody that works in an events company and any other position in administration, because the communication skills have been honed and zoned to such an extent. So I always like to employ people with contact center experience, even in non-related positions of contact center, because of their evolution and their enhancement in the communication skills.
Absolutely. All these are transferable skills. They really are. Yeah. And I think the communication skills that I suppose everybody in a contact center world needs to learn, apart from being good for their career development and their professional career development, it's also good for their home life as well, because it can really help them to maintain rapport, to create empathy with friends, to make friends easier, and to build their professional network.
Absolutely true. At the moment, though, I think what one should start focusing on is that what we have identified is that there is of course, with COVID, there's a huge, big sort of problem and a gap. A lot of people are very demotivated. They are literally disinterested and sort of traumatized. And then, of course, in this country, we still have the looting that also happened, which has added insult to injury and also as sort of like disabled people, so to speak, in terms of acting and evolving and developing. It's almost as if the aspirational gene has been affected negatively by the events of the last 2 years. So what we should be looking at, Peter, is really programs that focus on the fourth industrial revolution skills, such as critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and in particularly problem solving. Because what we tend to do is we tend to train people on technical skills rather than focus on the motivational skills. And I see it across the board in various different fields. What's really necessary is to get people to the point where they're motivated again. If a person is motivated and they believe that they can, whatever you train them after that becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely, because in every area of every business, you've got 4 different types of people, and one of those types is, I call them passer-throughs. They join an organization to get a foot into the door, but they don't really class that as being a long-term future. Now, in a contact center, that happens a lot, and we end up training people eventually to work in somebody else's business. So what's nice is for businesses to take the responsibility that they actually do have to show what is available within their own organization, families of roles, like you've suggested. If I'm not an agent today, I might have a technical leaning. So I might want to go into the technical department. I might want to be in marketing. I might want to be in HR. And as long as I've got those core skills and a bit of experience and maybe some evidence from recognition that I've got that, then maybe I can, as an employer, I can turn a passer through into a long-term careerist within my own organization and save the cost of recruiting somebody to come behind.
I couldn't agree with you more. So the passer through person would actually become something which is no longer said like it's a bad thing. And it's actually part and parcel of a career pipeline. One of my major clients, for example, was a retail organization, international retail company. And I always used to say to them, why do you recruit people for the shop floor afresh? Why don't you recruit them from the contact center? You should actually, every year, what you should do is take people from your contact center, invite them to apply for retail management positions, and have a natural attrition. People in contact centers don't stay long. So why don't you turn that into a feature rather than a problem? And if you actually do that, then you keep people longer, you spend less on product training and development, and you also have a much more of a long-term talent management situation in your organization than having to retrain people all the time.
Absolutely. And a lot of that really hinges on two things. It hinges on the individual having the ability to create the evidence, the evidential path of their personal development, and also the companies to enable that. And I guess this is where the designations, the professional designations, are so important to an individual and to the organization going forward.
Indeed, yes. I think the designations will definitely also grow in importance because of the fact that it's an industry award, and it's industry that says that you operate on a certain level, rather than some school or academic institution that certifies that you operate on a certain level of knowledge. The application is the thing that is important. Knowing how to sell something doesn't really mean anything unless you physically go out there and actually sell it. And to me, that's what it's all about. That's what competency is all about at the end of the day too.
Absolutely right. Good. Okay. Well, Wynand, it's great talking to you. I think we could talk all day about this. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you.